What's up, guys? Sam here. And I'll be doing the free video for Friday, June 28th, 2024. So, another week is in the books, and I just finished making the premium video for the folks in the gold room. And frankly, I didn't see all that much that's really interesting that you can't just see with your own eyes. There's one thing that I saw that was interesting, and I'll bring it to you guys here. But let's maybe start with the SPY, which is where we normally start, kind of the big picture stuff, and work from there. So on SPY, everything looks good. I mean, it's a max bull on weekly and daily, so everything's going to look good. There's something that's giving me a little bit of concern, but we'll see how concerning it is, because at the end of the day, this week was OPEX. It was the end of the month. It's the end of the quarter. So there's a lot of weird stuff that tends to happen during that time. And frankly, everything here looks good except one thing. So I'm just going to show you the one thing that doesn't look good, with the full understanding that as I show you this one thing, everything else does look good. So what looks cautionary, is probably a better way to say it, is those two candles right there on the weekly chart, right? Can those two candles be a little bit of a topping formation? Potentially, right? You have a little bit of a gravestone doji, if you will, for this week. But then again, you could have made the same argument right here. Now, here's kind of the thing. I actually think we can see something like this, where you have two kind of doji-ish candles that look a little bit toppy at 3 ATR, kind of like right there in the box. You go up another week or two, and then you actually see the drop, right? So while it is cautionary, I don't think it's immediately cautionary. We'll see how it opens on Monday, but in terms of just putting everything together for you, Max Bull 50, Max Bull 50, somewhat boring, right? There's not any squeezes. It's just a very nice trend by the 8 and the 21. But the only cautionary signal that I see there is that double doji there on the weekly chart. Not that it hasn't had that before. It had one right there. You managed to squeak out a little bit more before it actually dropped. It's kind of what I'm looking for. Let's go to where I thought was a little bit more interesting. So, and everything I just said about the SPY, you can apply to the QQQ as well. Although the QQQ is not quite as strong as the SPY at the moment, at least based on the indicator. Here's where I thought was a little bit interesting. So we picked up a position today in the room in IWM. And this is a short-dated position. It's the 202 calls that expire next Friday. So this kind of has to work quickly. So we'll see. And maybe this is something that would actually have been better to do for a longer-term position, but I'm not entirely sure I want to go out further than what's immediately in front of me. And here's the signal on IWM. So is IWM as bullish as what you just looked at on SPY? SPY was a perfect 50. This one's a 27. Good, not perfect. On the daily, SPY was a perfect 50. This one's a negative 2. It's a negative 2 out of 50, which is basically nothing. It's basically just neutral. So why did I buy this? Well, it's the end of the quarter, and this quarter we've seen the IWM do absolutely nothing, right? Basically, not only this quarter, this year, we've seen IWM just trade in a really gross, choppy box, while everything else is just frolicked to new all-time highs. With the end of the quarter in place, my thought process is, can we see a little bit of rotation? Maybe tech trade sideways, if that's even believable, that tech would trade sideways, and that money would flow into something that has lagged and has a serviceable enough structure like IWM. Now that all sounds very nice, right? That little narrative that I just told you, that sounds believable. But I wouldn't be able to do any of this if I didn't have signals, right? At the end of the day, a narrative is completely just a narrative unless you have the right signals for it. So what was the signal for my entry into IWM? And again, I fully acknowledge this is a difficult trade, right? This isn't the pullback to the 21 with the squeeze, everything's hunky-dory kind of setup. I don't see a lot of those setups out there. Maybe I'm missing something, but I don't see a lot of squeezes at the 21 with max bull scores. So what do I see here on IWM? Well, I see this. You see that combination of signals right there that happened all through here? Right? You have the double yellow arrow pointing up, a little yellow boy there, a little double yellow boy there. It tells you you're getting a turn. You then combine that with these attractive Jackson 5 green boys, and from there you actually get a nice little serviceable rally. compare this setup right there to this setup. Looks pretty much identical to me, right? So really all I'm looking for is a combination of arrows that align. And do you see how right there, that exact moment in time, basically yesterday actually, so I probably could have done a better job getting in yesterday. You see how that combination of signals is exactly kind of the alignment that I'm looking for. So this is the alignment I'm looking for. Arrow, Jackson 5, yellow boy, and then I have a squeeze on the back of it. So I kind of have to go with it, right? Now, again, it is short dated, so I'm not telling you that IWM is the place to be, but it's serviceable enough that I think maybe, just maybe, we can get into this zone here, right around 205 and a half or so to about 207-ish. And I would be more than happy to take off my calls there. So just something to keep an eye on there going into next week. There's nothing that's particularly well aligned right now. I think the tech, we were talking about tech at the beginning of the month. Tech has had a move. The SPY, just common trend. It's like vanilla ice cream. Not a lot there. But the IWM, based on the signal that I just showed you, is showing some level of alignment that we have not seen pretty much since basically the beginning of May. So I thought that was interesting. And then I'll leave you with one specific pick. And this one was sent out in the room by Trendy John, which is one of our traders. And I looked at it and I was like, you know what? I haven't looked at industrials in a while, so why don't I do that? And I looked at it and I liked it. And this one again, I'm trying. I don't want to say I'm trying to bring you things that are not easy, because certainly if there was something that was just straight up easy, I would bring it to you. I just don't happen to see anything that's overly easy. Let me give you my list of something that could be easy that I don't actually have positions in right now. AMAT, TMUS, Crowd, and I'm going to throw in AMD as a fun little lotto trade, which I bought earlier this week and I sold it today. But I'm going to be looking for a reload on those. Those are going to be, in quotations, easier than this stuff. But again, you got to know the rules before you can break the rules. And on CAT, the reason that I like that Trendy John shout out and trade alert, and the reason I followed him, using my own version of the trade, of course, is you have this breach of this low, right? So always kind of look left to right. See how you have that low right there, and then you get the push higher. Stretch that green line all the way across. And you see how you've made this pattern underneath the green line. So it broke support, but it didn't actually do anything, right? So what is this called? You'll get a bonus point if you can answer. What is that box called before I tell you? It's a bear trap, right? It's a bear trap, a Wyckoff spring. Basically, you have a horizontal support level, you break below, and then you spring back above, and that gives you the energy necessary to go higher. Also, this pattern right here, especially on a 4-hour chart, you can see it on a daily, but you can certainly see it on a 4-hour, looks to me like an inverse head and shoulders, which is a very common reversal pattern. So what does that look like? Well, it kind of looks like this. So you have the shoulder, the head, the shoulder, and you have the neckline right there. Basically, we're close today. So if this pattern is true, and again, I fully acknowledge this is a negative 22. In most cases, folks shouldn't even be looking at this. And frankly, if you're brand new, I wouldn't focus on this. I would wait for pullbacks and good stuff. But I want to bring you something that at least is interesting on a day that I don't find particularly interesting overall in the indexes. So just as a nice case study, we'll come back next week and see what this has done. I'm looking for a push into this combination resistance zone at 341. 341 is the 382 Fibonacci retracement of that move. So that alone is going to be resistance. But then you see how the blue line overlaps with that same exact level? That's going to be really important. So that's where I'm going to take my trade off right there, with the full acknowledgement that I think this actually goes to about 350 if this inverse head and shoulders and the squeeze is true. So not normally something I would bring you, because again, this is in the school of trading, this is not the easy stuff. This is a little bit more of the difficult side of trading, but a very interesting chart to study up on your own. And we'll come back next Friday and see how it did. All right, guys, that's my time. Leave us a like before you go somewhere else on the YouTube. Leave us a comment. Subscribe if you're not subscribed. and let us know what you're looking at in the comments. And that would certainly be helpful to all of us, and we'll come back next week and review. All right, guys. Have a great day. See you next Friday. Cheers.
Hey traders, this is Sam with Simpler Trading. I want to thank you for watching today's video. Hopefully you found the information in it helpful. If you did, leave us a like, leave us a comment. It really does help us out with the algorithm. And if you want to see us trade live with our own real money and be part of the community, come and check us out at simplertrading.com.